recording. Live in 5, 4.
Hello everybody, this is Borbalo Banto CPA. Welcome to our weekly show. We are from Concierge CPAs, a boutique CPA firm here in Brecksville, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And we do these community calls, these Facebook Lives every Friday. Right now it's Fridays at 6 o'clock, just to answer some questions that come up, often, and they might be of interest of other people who are listening. We know that a good number of our clients, networking partners, and friends are listening. And the magic of the Facebook Lives is that you don't have to be on the call live. You can rewatch it anytime. And so these are kind of like evergreen information. I did get the feedback that a lot of people who are listening are not familiar with our business. So just a little bit of background without boring you is that Concierge CPAs is a boutique CPA firm, a full-service CPA firm here in Brecksville. We work with clients all around the U.S., most of the states. We do have clients, actually, just the minority of our clients are in town. And most of our clients are business owners, and they're on the personal side. We focus on a lot of tax planning, a lot of advising, and just be there kind of partners and members of the business owners advisory boards. That being said, we do have a good number of professionals and freelancers as clients, or a lot of times when somebody is leaving the big law, leaving the big consulting firm, and they want to start their own, then they come to us and they just want to map out what's going on and how they should go about the financial side of their new business. So I talk to a lot of startups. My name is Borbala, as I said, here in the office. In our boardroom, actually, is my younger brother Laszlo, who's manning the technology. He's also a CPA, and we have the good fortune of working with a good number of staff here, also from having master's degrees in tax to bookkeepers, to take care of our clients in every way when it comes to bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, taxes. I do a lot of CFO advising when clients are just want to talk to somebody, kind of like an accountability partner, every month about their financials, about their numbers, key performance indicators, budgets, new projects, just to make sure that they have everything they need to make better business decisions. So that's a little bit about us. We do have a monthly newsletter that we write ourselves and send out to everybody who's on our list in the mail. The March issue just got mailed, and I got feedback that most people got it already. If you're not on that list and if you're not getting this, just shoot us an email. The email address is below, and we can put you on the list. This is not like a typical accounting firm newsletter. It does have all kinds of things in it, and not like boring stuff that you're gonna go to sleep on. I just actually wanted to mention I got a good number of emails as feedback about the main article in the March issue. Our clients know that I just turned 45 a couple of weeks ago, so for the March article, my husband took a picture of me with my birthday cake for number 45, and it was tax season, and it was my turn to write a main article, and basically I had overnight to do it. So I just came up with a couple of things, jotted down a couple of things that I learned so far in my life. As an immigrant coming to this country when I was 24, moving to the U.S. after 2 weeks after graduating from law school in Eastern Europe, and finding myself without a diploma that is worth anything, and just packaging and then just finding what I should do in the future, and also then starting my own business as an immigrant, as a mom of 4 little kids, and just growing the business. What did I learn about growing the business and running a business, a very busy, a lot of times a busy business, and somebody who has to take care a lot of people, parents, grandparents, so on. So the feedback I got actually, one of my most respected clients, he said, read the 13 lessons that came in the mail, outstanding and insightful. Will share with my daughter and son-in-law tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great weekend. So just a couple of things that also there are in this newsletter. We feature one of our clients in each article, and also we introduce Laura Leiden, who is our newest hire in this article. And again, it's nothing like, really staffy, like really boring CPA stuff. We try to write articles about our pets, kids, just like all kinds of things that are not boring. We also have our schedule, like Facebook Live schedule, and also my schedule. I go to a lot of seminars where I speak, and also workshops, and we also go to a good number of places where we learn for our business. So we're just listing these as if somebody wants to follow us or just wants to take a clue of where do successful business owners go and to gather. And also we have a picture of our Grammy winning client Erica Brenner in it with her Grammy. And actually I just saw Erica's husband a couple of minutes ago. He stopped by at the office, and they said that they're trying to decide what to do with the Grammy and where to put it. So fun things like that. Also, we have a client whose son-in-law plays in the NFL and was in the Super Bowl. So something about them. A lot of times we do have a book that we recommend, and I got pretty good feedback from clients that it was actually a good book, and they started reading it. And actually, a lady last couple of weeks ago, she said that it's totally going to change, that book that we recommended that month. It's going to change how she runs her business in certain ways. So that was a good feedback. And so we tried to put like a funny story about a celebrity running into tax trouble, or something that we can learn from, how the big league does business. So that being said, let us know if you want one. It comes in the mail in the nice big white envelope, see-through envelope, and you can get it. Also, if you have any questions, put them into the comments. You can also email it to me if it's more sensitive and you don't want people to see your name. That's also a choice. So that being said, as far as housekeeping regarding these calls, for the month of March, we're doing them on Fridays at 6 o'clock. In April, actually I'm finishing up tax season a little early. Second part of April, I will be out of the country, taking my kids to Japan for spring break. So we are not going to have any calls from Japan, but then in May we're going to start again. And we might do some other Facebook Live type of stuff while I'm away, but not the Friday, because other housekeeping items. I just emailed all our clients who have not made an appointment for tax season yet, or I have not heard from them. A good number of our clients do not make appointments, and the appointments are either in person in our offices, or they are through GoToMeeting or through phone. As I said, most of our clients are not in town, so we rarely see them. Actually, our biggest client is in San Francisco, and I've not actually met her yet in person, and we worked together for 6 years so far. So I emailed everybody. So if you did not get an email, or you don't have an appointment, you did not send your tax prep stuff, your tax documents to us, then just shoot us an email. But you should have gotten an email. Now, new tax law came out beginning of last year. First tax season when we implemented, everything takes longer. I find myself writing emails to clients just summarizing why the tax returns in 2018 are so much different than the 17 ones. So sometimes it takes me half an hour and an hour even to write these emails. And then a lot of our clients go through line by line through both tax returns, 17 versus 18, just to see why is it so different. If you are like a lot of professionals, and even if you have a W-2, you found that you might owe a lot more than in previous years. Unfortunately, I had to bring this bad news to a good number of our clients. Last year, when the new tax law got implemented by the IRS, IRS came out with these new tax table, withholding tax tables. So employers started implementing them in February. everybody started seeing a little higher paychecks. But of course, by now, everybody forgot about them. So when actually we implement and we do the tax returns, we see that it's not uncommon that $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 less was taken out for taxes than the year before. So even if the tax rates made the taxes a little lower, but still there's a gap there. And a lot of our clients even come in and they say, oh, I already heard horror stories from my friends, from my colleagues, so I anticipate, owing that. And unfortunately, I had to give the bad news to a good number of clients. Now, on the business side, there are new deductions for business owners. Of course, deductions was taken away, but there are new deductions. So I don't think our business owner clients complained so far. I think it came out at least a little bit better, slightly better, or kind of the same as previous years. Some of them see a big difference and big savings. Now, also just to say anything, just a little bit about the process. No client in our office just drops off their tax documents and then picks them up and signs them without just like any communication. So why a boutique CPA firm is different than H&R Block, or any tax preparer who works out of their basement is that we pretty much, we try to do as much tax planning as we can before December 31st, but even at this point, we're doing a lot of tax planning, a lot of analysis, seeing if merit filing jointly versus separately would be the best, would yield the best results. If there are any things, the tax document that are not here that you had last year, we're not just gonna prepare the tax return. We have to go back and ask about it. There are a lot of things, if somebody's a W-2 taxpayer, renting, W-2, young professional, no investment, no rentals, no kids, that's the last time when somebody's tax returns are really, really simple. Like TurboTax may be fine, H&R Block might be fine. If you have anything more, if you have kids who are in college and they are, 1099s, if you have a rental property, if you have just small 1099s that they need a Schedule C, so you have self-employed income that you want to offset with expenses so you don't pay tax on the whole thing. If you have investments, if you sold stocks, mutual funds, if you took out required minimum distributions as a retired person, if you have any of the situation, your tax returns, unfortunately, and maybe it shouldn't be this way, but unfortunately, there is no. I don't think that there's a good reason for you to go to H&R Block or somebody who just does taxes on the side. Unfortunately, somebody at H&R Block who's paid, like a peon who's paid $10 an hour will prepare the tax return, and they might have taken 5 hours of tax courses. I have yet to see a correctly prepared like TurboTax, self-prepared TurboTax tax return when something like that goes on. Again, if you have one W-2 and you rent, hopefully everything goes fine and you cannot really mess it up. But other than that, there's just so much leeway. And the problem is then, and we see this when clients come to us finally, and then we review the tax returns a couple of years back, and we say like, they just missed $500, they missed $1,000, they missed, $1,500. A lot of deductions, a lot of tax credits that could have been implemented very easily and legally, and they were not. So you don't even know what is the difference between, like, you see the price of something, you see but you don't see the cost. You see how much you pay for the tax prep, but you don't know ultimately how much it's going to cost you, right? So there's a big difference between the price and the cost of anything, just anything in life. And I'm bringing it up because I got an email from somebody who said, I prepared this friend's taxes for a number of years, and she was asking me how much the tax prep fee is this year, and I said the same as last year. Most presentable, successful CPA firms increase their prices at least 50% because they're just so much work. Basically, with the new tax law, the work is double. We didn't. So I told her that the fee is the same as last year. And she said, I was just inquiring because I've had colleagues that got their taxes done for half what I'm paying. So, and my response was, with everything in life, there is a fee for everything. There is a level for everything. And actually, we talk about this with my brother a lot. We quote admire, the business owners of those tax prep places where you pay, $300 and somebody, for the tax prep. The owners, I'm pretty sure that they are sitting on the beach, sipping margaritas, and somebody who took 5 hours of classes, tax classes, and is paid $10 an hour, prepays your taxes in like half an hour. But let's say it's an hour. But they are paid, $10, $15, 15 is, 15 it costs the owner with taxes and everything, but they're never paid $15. So basically in 1 hour, that business's profits are, let's say, $290. And it's not a place where you can go back. They don't take care of any notices when you get them. You cannot sit down and talk it through. Why is it different? What's going on? You don't get any tax advice. If you don't bring everything in, they're never going to ask you, like, come back, because that's basically a second hour, and that's not including the price. I had a client who came to us and he said that a tax preparer like this, actually, like, he had a question, like he always has questions, and then he yelled at the client, and the tax preparer yelled at the client and said, don't waste my time. You're just wasting my time. I'm here for tax prep. And he was used to, just like me, asking questions, sitting down and going through everything, and ultimately came back, didn't finish with that preparer and came back, and it's a good client since then. So with everything in life, the cost of having, paying less right there might turn into just this big cost if you have a notice, if something was not done properly. And even if those things don't happen, the biggest fear that I would have in this situation is that something is missed and I won't even know, right? So I'm not saying that, CPAs are, don't make mistakes and stuff, but it's a higher chance with, a couple of CPAs, people who do this for a living day and night and do tax planning, is that they're going to look at it, because we do have the funds to look at it. That's why you pay more, a little bit more. But ultimately, you're going to pay so much less. My go-to story about how much TurboTax can cost you is when a well-respected professional came to us for something else, like a local tax issue, but I looked at his federal tax return that he prepared every year in TurboTax, and I looked at it, and he did have some speaking engagements that he got 1099s for, so he had a good size Schedule C, and I saw that, and he wrote books, so he got royalties, and I saw that there was just something there, like a good amount of tax that he did not have to pay. And he calculated it and paid it. So I was actually even a little afraid to ask him, but ultimately I said, can I ask you a question? Why was it that you did it this way on the tax return in TurboTax? And he said, because that's what TurboTax told me. And my response was, I'm so sorry to tell you, but TurboTax just cost you, I think it was $6,800, $6,850 that year. Tax that you paid that you did not have to pay. And of course, the IRS is not going to come back and say, oh, you shouldn't have paid that. You shouldn't have checked the button to calculate those taxes, because don't apply to you. They won't say it. And so my client's face became red, and he said, I will never ever do my own taxes because I've done it this way for 10 years. So that's $68,000. I mean, you cannot make, up the stories. So again, ultimately, you don't know what you're missing. So that's what I told my friend. You just have to go and try. If it works out, maybe then we have like so many cases where the client refinances. I just got a client like that. I mean, I haven't even a question like this here where the client said, I really need you to get back to me ASAP because I'm refinancing. Actually, I want a home equity line for some remodeling, and I want this response. We need to address this response to the banker like right now, right? So if you have a tax preparer, like this is the summer, and you can never call them. They are just not open. outside of tax season. Or if it's just one person in their basement and then something happens to them, or they're on vacation, or they have a lot of kids and they don't work on the weekend or at night, right? How are you gonna miss having your pool put in? This was the question in my client's case, because you couldn't get that line of credit because your CPA or somebody who did your taxes didn't come back. So sometimes the total cost is so much different than just the price of something. So I'm gonna rest my case right there. A couple of questions that came in that pertain to how to set up W-4s and just when you start a new job, things to look out for. So I got a couple of questions, so I thought that I will address them. So first question was from a good client of ours. He started a job, a very good job last year, and we are here in Ohio. And if you know anything about Ohio, is that we do have federal, state, and local taxes. So everywhere, like most cities where we work, the employer has to take out the city withholding. So this particular friend of mine started working last year in Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, that has a 2.5% income tax that the employer is supposed to take out. So I prepared their taxes and I said, there was nothing taken out, so now you have to pay the tax, and just tell me if they changed that this year since January 1st, 19. And he went back to the employer and they didn't. And then they said, oh, okay, I don't know what happened. We're going to take it out starting on April 1st, and we're going to take out 2%. So my client emailed me, problem is fixed. And I said, okay, 2%, that's not good, because the tax rate in the city of Cleveland is 2.5%. So please make sure, sometimes even like suburb use just the city name Cleveland. I said, just make sure there's a website to plug in the address of the employer, and it spits you out the actual taxable city that it belongs to. Make sure if it's really Cleveland, they don't take out 2% because it's not going to be enough. So all this kind of stuff is pretty much not the employees, or should not be the employees' issues, but it is, and ultimately it affects their personal taxes or how much they're going to find out that they just owe at year end. So if you started a new job, do yourself a favor, look at your first pay stub and look, is everything how you think? People who have city taxes, they're pretty knowledgeable about what should be taken out or what not, what should they see. Or, of course, take it to your CPA and they can look at it and just find those things out. And in the same question I got from a client who's changing jobs, and he last night, my brother and I, we were at a concert, and I got this email like, I really need this ASAP. So I'm sitting, my back is to the wall at this rock concert, and I'm just responding to my client like, okay, you should say this and this on your W-4, because he said like, I need to finish, do this tonight. So yeah, that's what CPAs do. They just work everywhere. And actually that was a funny story, because we had so we worked till really, really late in tax season. Staff works till sometimes 9 o'clock ish at least. My brother and I, we worked till anywhere from midnight to 5 a.m. And we were debating to go to this rock concert or not. As I mentioned, we are immigrants and we're from Eastern Europe. So a rock band from our youth from Hungary, like the biggest rock band, came to town, to Cleveland, to do a concert. And Hungarians from the northern part of the U.S., all the way to Chicago, Indiana, New York, came to the concert. Now, this band it's their 45th year of existence. So they're pretty old. They're like 65-ish. So it was kind of like a nostalgia concert. And a lot of like older, like, people like older than 45 to like 65 were there. And we were debating to go or not, because we have so much work and we are so busy. So like half an hour before the concert started, we just decided okay, let's just go. We're going to see a good number of our clients there anyway. So we did go. And if you follow me on Facebook, you will see a couple of pictures and a couple of little video shots of the concert. We had fun. We did, say hi to a good number of our clients. And then, of course, came back to the office. So I was still responding and texting and responding to a good number of clients. Spring break is coming up, so a couple of our clients said, I just need a response to this question before I leave for spring break tomorrow. So then I just ended up working actually while even on the concert. So if you have a CPA, just be really kind to them because they're working very, very long hours. But it was good to get away a little bit. So if you're not sure, if you start a very good job, I would say 100,000 and above. Like this client of mine who asked me about the W-4, I bet his W-2 is gonna be $300,000-$400,000. If you're not sure what to put on the W-4, just there are a couple of line 3 and 5 actually are the most important. Line 3 is single, married, or married, but please withhold at a higher single rate. So if you don't know, if you're single, just check off single. If you're married, just check off married, but withhold at a higher single rate. And line 5 has the exemptions. If you don't know, just put 0, right? So single 0 or married, withhold at a single rate. 0 would be like the highest deduction that they can take out for taxes without adding additional dollar amounts, which you can do on the bottom. So usually what we do, we start out the clients with single 0. Then they get a first pay stub. They get it to me. I look over it. And then we run a current year tax projection. We project out the W-2 with the withholdings between now and the end of the year. Project out everything else that's going on. If the wife has a W-2, if they have other investments, what's going on this year based on, let's say, previous year. And then we run a tax projection like this would be tax season next year, 2020, to see if my client starts out this pay stub this way, will they have a surprise that they get a huge refund or a big taxes due in tax season? Is just so much better to know. A lot of times I tell clients peace of mind is what actually we sell. Just peace of mind that you have somebody to reach out to for double checking. This particular client of mine is a dear friend, and we became friends after being clients, working together. And when he got his contract from the new job, actually he sent it to me, so I review it, not for like any legalities or anything, but for making sure that what he gets offered as far as health insurance, 401k, and all kinds of stuff, what they said in the contract, pretty much is what we anticipated and what he had before. So just a second set of eyes, another professional, that this is what they do day in and out. That's why actually he comes back every year, for us to work together, because otherwise, he is so smart, he can do his own taxes, but having that second set of eyes, that peace of mind, somebody to talk stuff through, and of course, a lot of tax planning. So that being said, next question is from a business owner, and she said, Borbala, are there any additional expenses I should be deducting for my car, for instance? And so it's a new client. She does have QuickBooks Online. She most of the stuff that she buys for the business is recorded already in the QuickBooks Online, because she's really good of using one bank account and one credit card for the business, always using those 2 cards. So everything is in QuickBooks, but we can further refine the business expenses a little bit by stuff that it does not get paid by these. For example, this particular client of mine is a young attorney. She works on one side of the town and her office is on the opposite side of town, and the commute is, I would say, what is it, Les? Like 40 minutes, at least 40 minutes. So a lot of times with like being virtual, she has an office at home where she works from. She has 4 little kids, 3 little kids, 4th on the way, I think. And so she has this home office that she does a lot of administrative and business things and also legal things from. Like a couple of days a week she works out of there. So then we sit down just to brainstorm and plan out all the business expenses. Like we should not leave anything legal, a legal expense on the table, right? So we said, you do have an office at home. let's say, what can we deduct for home office utilities? Because nobody can contest that you need heat and light and air if you are working from your home office. And you can actually document how many times you went to your office and how many days a week you're working from home. And you are actually doing administrative and managerial stuff for the office. So, and actually they just happened to move last year as well. So I asked, what did you have to do to your home office in the new house? Did you need to put in new carpeting, new shelving, new desk or chair? Did you have to paint it? Did you have to put in wallpaper? Maybe even move walls, or doing accommodations, put in a new window. What was the? Did you buy any electronics that were like, my husband bought it, right? Because he was on the Amazon and he did not use my business card. So are there electronics purchases like a tablet, laptop, phone that you're using for the business that maybe was not paid out of the business funds? So again, we already recorded every expense that we saw in the business bank account and credit card. We are talking about expenses that are just get paid from the home budget together with something else. So make sure that you don't leave these on the table. And how we go about these is like, yes, you have the receipt, so you can have the telephone bills, like copy of the telephone bills on the business records. But you also just document it. We just document it. My cell phone bill together with my husband, I'm just using an example, is $100. I wish it would be $100. So that's it, $100. And so the husband's part is $50. Business owner's part is $50. And the business owner has kids and stuff. So she makes maybe 50% of her calls personally, but 50% of the time she calls the office and clients. So maybe, we should document that $25 a month is what, times 12 months, is what we are deducting as an additional business expense on the tax return, business tax return. And of course, if you have a good bookkeeper, or if you do your books correctly, then you can add this as a journal entry to your QuickBooks, to your accounting financial statements, so they are reflected. Always the accounting software, the financial statements versus the tax returns have to match. Now, a couple of things are not going to match, but the accountant, again, if they do their work right, they should have kind of a reconciliation little worksheet of when you look at your QuickBooks and when you look at your tax returns, line by line almost, they have to match. They have to mirror. If where they don't, you have to have this reconciliation. So that's the best practice, how it should be done. So we did this. So I answered to my client, let's talk about the car expenses. I don't want to get into the gist of it, but you can do either mileage or you can do the actual depreciation of the business usage percentage of the car, right? And depending on what type of card you have, how frequently you change your card, how much you are using the car for the business, one or the another could be a better way to go. IRS lets you use the one that's better for you. Now, also, you cannot go back and forth every year, so you have to look at more than just this year until, I'm still trying to keep this car. I want to see, ultimately which one is better. I did ask my client here if she can tell me how many miles she drove toll miles during 2018, how much she anticipates that was commute going from her home to her office, and how much was it when she drove around to see clients, see the accountant, see the networking meetings, go to different places, pick up supplies, all the mileage that was actually business, right? And how much was personal. So we have to see the toll, how much is commute, personal, and how much is them business miles. And depending on what she's going to respond to me, we're going to see, which one is better for her. Hi, Borbala. Hope you're doing okay and hanging in there during your busy season. Quick question, probably a dumb one. There are no dumb questions. I was getting to send our local tax return and payment, and I noticed that the local tax return Form 37 was clipped to the wage and tax statements. Does all of this get mailed to Rita with the payment, or just the Form 37 portion? If you're not in Ohio, this will be totally foreign to you. If you're in Ohio and you hear the term Rita, you already start to have, a cold shivers, and it's just everybody that I talk to says like, I hate Rita. I hate Rita, or CCA. Rita and CCA, they are pretty much kind of like quasi-private companies. They're organizations that do administer the taxes for a bunch of cities. Rita is the biggest one. Some of the cities here locally in Ohio, they administer their own, like the city hall administers it. But most of them belong to Rita and then, CCA. And why I chose this question is just for one reason, just to make the point that Rita, the local tax agency, wants to know everything about you. So now it's not enough that you just send them the actually Rita tax return. Rita stands for Regional Income Tax Agency, but we just joke here in Ohio that Rita is your new girlfriend Rita and how much you're paying her. So, and if you're named Rita, sorry. So Rita wants to know everything about you. They want the actual local tax return. They want copies of the W-2s. But more than that, they want to see the first 2 pages of your federal. But now with the change tax laws, actually not all the information Rita wants to see is on the first 2 pages. So they want to see a couple of schedules also from the new schedules 1 to 6. And then they want to see if you have a Schedule C or Schedule E and depreciation, they want to see everything. And on top of that, also, they check with the IRS as far as, what type of income items did you have. So if you did not put something on the Rita tax return that is taxable to the city, but it was submitted on the federal side, they're going to send you a nice letter. And they're not nice. I mean, I can feel for them. They just say that they administer the rules that the cities put and the Ohio put in place. So, yeah, but it's really harsh, very harsh penalties for even being late a day and just not paying all your estimated income taxes. Very harsh penalties. So we worked on the local tax return more time than maybe for federal and Ohio combined. So it's just really bad. A lot of times we have professionals moving to Ohio from a state that does not have state taxes or local taxes, even if they have state but not local. And they're totally unfamiliar with this local tax system. So, for example, a lot of doctors find jobs at the Cleveland Clinic, so they move to, municipalities, suburbs around the Cleveland Clinic, let's say Shaker Heights or University Heights or Cleveland Heights. They buy a house and they file their federal and state taxes online themselves because that's what they used to do. They just have W-2. And then a couple of years down the road, they get the subpoena of, you have to come to court because you have not filed your city taxes for the last 5 years. And they, a good number of them, they find us and ask for help with it, and especially to abate, and we have all the penalties waived that amassed already, in 5 years, you can just imagine. And they're horrified, like, we never knew. I wish that real estate agents would, when they sell a house to a out-of-state couple, then they would just tell them, like, just watch out for local taxes and go and find a CPA because this is going to be nasty if you don't. And so this is the email. So the next one, this is the email where my client said, Barbala, I need some assistance pretty quickly. And this was like 7:56 p.m. last night. I just found out that the home equity line of credit was denied because of my 2018 P&L showing a net loss. I got an email from your office that the business taxes are completed. Can you please send me a copy of that right away? They are saying that I can reopen the loan request by providing the 18 tax return, and I'm hoping that will show better numbers. So just to make a point of how important it is to have somebody that you can talk to about all kinds of things, and it's not just about like tax preparation. A lot of times like this, we just need to respond and say, okay, are the financials good? Did we review them? Do you really have a loss, or you don't have a loss, or what's going on? Question that inside the bookkeeper, that office manager that does your books, if you have a business, and also talk to the banker. So my response was, please put me in contact with this banker, and I'm going to talk to them and see how much of that profit are they looking at to have maybe, we are going to have a better deal this year, or what's going on. It is just being an advisor versus just a tax preparer. Hello, Borbala. I hope you're well and surviving the crazy tax season. I have a quick question. There are no quick questions. I'm currently collecting vendor money for our upcoming art show via my business PayPal. I'm in the process of submitting my February sales taxes. And here's my question. Do I have to submit the money from the vendors, or is it non-taxable? I've heard like a variety of this question a couple of times the last few weeks. That's why I selected it. For example, this one young attorney works with other like 4 or 5 attorneys in an office of an older guy, and they all have to pay, just against simplicity's sake, $500 a month rent. And instead of giving it to the owner directly, I don't know why, maybe it's easier for the young lawyers to communicate or something, they just gave it to one of the lawyers, and then she gave it to the landlord. So she was responsible of giving it to the landlord. So at the end of the year, these attorneys and their accountant said, "Oh, I'm gonna call her Amy. Like, Amy, we gave you all this money for rent." And Amy said, I should not get a 1099 for this, maybe, because you didn't really give it to me. I was just a conduit, and I gave it to the landlord. So, but they did. So she got like a bunch of 1099s for income that, if they're not handled correctly, or if they're not addressed on her tax return, the IRS says, "I don't know what's going on. I just see that you got all these 1099s, $6,000 a piece, 4 times, $24,000 income." And so we had to resolve it. So then she gives a 1099, or actually she says on the tax return that this is just a conduit rent passed through, and she paid it to the other guy. So she does have the rent income maybe and the rent expense, or how we can handle this. And the same way here, this friend is in a collective, this factory that was repurposed, and like all kinds of businesses have offices there and workshops there, and they're gonna have an art show in this factory, and everybody's giving her the money like for the fee to enter the show. And now she says like, okay, I have to submit my sales taxes for the month, which is like asking me how much my total income was. Do I have to include all this money that I'm collecting, and I'm just giving it to somebody, that for all the expenses? She's not gonna make money on it. The best way to handle it, I think, is just because she might get 1099, the IRS might see the income, to actually say that I have income, and then also expense it, all the expenses that she had. Now, as far as sales tax, again, if they are just like vendor fees, like entrance fees to a show, and they're not sales taxable, then obviously she's not gonna pay rent or sales tax on it. But also, that's something that we have to double check. Is this like entrance fees into a show or an event? Is that something that's sales taxable in Ohio or not? Okay. This is an interesting question, and this comes up a lot. Hi, Borbala. I'm in Los Angeles, and tomorrow I'm giving a presentation to senior leaders who are exploring becoming consultants in the future. Can you remind me, generally, what people need to do to set themselves up as a consulting business? Assuming it's someone like me who would be a sole proprietor, or LLC, or S-Corp, or something like that. I anticipate this question, and I would like to be able to give them a decent answer. It has been so long since I did it, I don't remember what I did. So majority of the workshops that I do and seminars that I do, this question comes up. Like, what's the first step for me to establish my business, and tax-wise or not? And the answer is, as far as taxes go, if you don't have an LLC, you just start working, right? You don't need a license, nothing. You just start giving advice. Like she said, these are would be consulting businesses. Versus you have an LLC or a corporation, and that could be different tax-wise. But the LLC and the no LLC, tax-wise, is totally the same. Now, any business lawyer would tell you that liability-wise, the LLC is better, right? If it's set up correctly and you follow the rules, and so you do everything that you're supposed to, so then somebody who potentially can sue you cannot pierce the corporate veil. So that would be, the first one would be, let's set up the LLC. Let's get an EIN number from the IRS. So the LLC is with the Secretary of State. The LLC is with the Secretary of State. EIN is with the IRS. You open the bank account based on these two forms, registration and the EIN. And then, and of course, even before this, I should have started with that. You should really need to talk to a good advisory CPA. Because then you have 75 days after the LLC was formed to potentially ask the IRS to tax you differently. Like she mentioned, the S Corp. A lot of times with the new tax law, C Corp is also an option, and it could come out better. So you just need to start. You just need to be in the frame of, I'm starting my business, but at the same time, I'm also not just like, I cannot just focus on what I do and on marketing. I really have to focus on the financial side of my business. And really the best time to sit down individually to talk about your exact situation is before you do all these. If you're following me at any length, you know that I have so many stories when I had financial advisors, I had business lawyers setting up their own LLC and then asking the IRS for an EIN number by themselves, and then 7-8 months down the road they came in crying with a notice in their hands for like $2,500 penalty from the IRS. So actually my latest example was like he was a bioscientist who's starting a business and did exactly like the same problem with the EIN, and even like when I was talking about it, he was nodding and said, yep, I did the same thing. So again, everything today is so complicated, and you can make a mistake. Of course, you have to learn about it and you have to know, but everything is so specialized these days that technically you can make, and most likely you're going to make a mistake down the road that costs you thousands of dollars, way more than it would have cost you to just to do things right with somebody who knows what they're doing. And I think the biggest problem is finding that person. I presented at a workshop where this lady said, I already asked like 3 accountants that I found, and each of them told me the different things, and just I don't know who to believe. So I could really sympathize with her, saying like how hard it is to find somebody, like what we do for our clients, to serve as advisors and just do things correctly the first time, so you can sleep better and you have peace of mind, and it's not going to cost you, like the liability of this costing you thousands of dollars down the road is, very minimal. Last short couple of questions. Borbala, what is the general rule for figuring the donation versus value received portion when purchasing tickets to benefit dinner? And I think this is an interesting question because we see the year-end donation receipts so often now in tax season, and I'm pretty sure that my friend just got a letter saying like, you went to this benefit dinner and you purchased 2 tickets for $300, and the question was like, how much can I deduct from this? Now my answer is, the letter is supposed to have from the organization. The letter from the organization is supposed to have something about it. Like we are thinking that the value of the dinner you received or the services that you received is $50. So $100 for 2 tickets, and you donated $300. So $200 is your donation, or something to that extent. If it doesn't, then based on the venue and where it happened and how fancy it was or not, how much the toll that you paid for was, you just have to estimate it. But I've seen most of these letters coming out from the organizations actually stated something because they know the cost. You can also call them and ask. Can I do an HSA to save taxes for 2018? Now, the short answer is it depends. You can only do HSAs, health savings accounts, if your health insurance fits that criteria that you can have it. So right now, it is the high deductible health insurances. I would always ask my broker or somebody I brought the insurance from to attest to that fact that my plan is qualified for me to do HSA or not. Usually they do sell, like brokers or insurance agents do sell the plan, and they try you to buy the plan, like telling you what the benefits are. So usually they would tell you, it's in their benefit to tell you. But for example, this particular client, I got back to them and they double checked, and even if the health insurance, like sometimes, and I've seen this a couple of times this year, health insurance is high deductible, the broker said it is not eligible for HSAs. So you really have to be, you have to get some type of paperwork, like an email or a confirmation or some like documents about it. HSAs are a great savings tool. I do have a client, for example, where he knows he's not going to use this medical expense money, or the money he put in the HSA will not be used that year. But then he knows that down the road he has, a couple of small kids who are going to need braces in the future. So he's going to drop like maybe $40,000 on braces. So he just put in like $5,000-$6,000 or maximum, whenever the maximum goes up every year, like $6,750 every year, kind of like a savings vehicle. So then later you can use it. Maybe the last question. And this is just timing. So somebody introduced me to this particular lady virtually, and she said, "Hi, Borbal. I apologize for taking so long to get back to you. I'm not sure if this is a good time to connect or if I should wait until I have a more concrete idea of what will transpire with my plans. At this point, I could set a date for us to connect that is far enough ahead so that I will hopefully have a clear concept of whether I can proceed as planned, which is purchasing an existing facility for operations of my business, or whether I have to start from scratch. Do you think this makes sense? I have already registered my consulting business as an LLC and gotten a URL for it just so that I don't lose the opportunity. Should I set a date or wait? Thanks." So I could it resonated with me, and I felt with this lady who is just has the ideas, maybe looking for a business facility to buy, has the LLC, has the website, but this is just the point where a lot of startups, they do have the plan, they do have the dream, but this is this big first step. Finding the LLCs, it's fine, but this is the big first step where either I'm going to execute and make something out of my dreams and these plans or not. And while it is correct that if we get together now, we cannot talk about, we can talk about financial projections and stuff, but maybe that would be even a little too far removed. So maybe it's not even the best time to talk about the best practices for selecting accounting software or stuff. But while my answer is, this is the perfect time to see as many advisors as you can, including a CPA. And what if you would have all kinds of advisors around a table, like for lunch or coffee or breakfast, right? Your business lawyer, your banker, your insurance agent that you're already lining up, your CPA, your other business coach, and just talk about this. Let's say that you do find an existing facility to purchase, but there are several options. You find 2, 3. Usually it's not like, I found the perfect place and this is it. Usually there are doubts, there are pros and cons, there are just so many things that this is kind of when you first start talking about it, like you feel that the baby is being born right now, but there's so much ambiguity. So the short answer is absolutely, the earlier the better. If you are in that startup phase, You just need to talk about it out loud. There's just so many things in our heads that we cannot even get out, or maybe when we say it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, maybe that's not the right plan. We have self-doubt, especially if I see from startups when they're doing this for the first time. They're starting to share these dreams with maybe family and friends, and they get rejection, they get laughed at, they get like, whatever. And all the self-doubt, especially, with women also, if this is the first time, it could come in where just puts you in a different mindset. So that being said, please do put together this advisory board that talks about your business, that people that you while you are finding these opportunities and ultimately you choose one, you just open up about them and hear the response and the feedback. Like, for example, I know just like off the cuff, if this business would be located in a high local tax area, or there would be one in a township where there's no local tax, I could say, okay, just by relocating to that one high tax area, you're losing maybe 3.5% of your profit for taxes. While you go with this other facility that is a township, that's 3% saved. A lot of businesses, like grocery stores and stuff, would be happy to have 3% profit, right? So it could be a lot of money on stake now. And some cities do give you the development opportunity grants. Even if you are a for-profit company, there's just so many things that if you have, again, maybe I'm just like oversharing this, but if you have people who know what they're doing, they are very excited about your plans, this is the best time. This is the best time when you're just looking and just finding, the opportunities and settling and, spending a couple of $100,000 on something that you're going to regret later. So with that being said, you're done with the questions. Let me know if you have any questions. You can send me an email to my personal email address that is below, or also on our Facebook page, business Facebook page called Better Numbers for You. You can either search in Facebook for Better Numbers for You or Burbala Banto. You should find it. Wish that everybody would fulfill their highest potentials. That's what I think I love being. That's why I love being in and living in the U.S. best. That if you really work hard and you're willing to sacrifice, short term, mid term, long term, you can do stuff that is really hard to do. If you live anywhere else in the world, you can build a business. You can become that professional. You can have the big dreams. I've heard this motivational speaker from Britain once on a podcast where an interviewer said, "Why did you come to America? I mean, there are so many motivational speakers here. Like, why do we need another one?" And the guy said, he was really a well-educated person, and he said, "You know how they say, small country, small dreams, big country, big dreams." And that stuck with me, throughout the years, saying like, literally, this country is just so big and has given me so much, especially the opportunities to dream big. So if you are on the fence about doing something, either going back to school or starting a new job, going for a new skill, a new profession, just remember that you could not be at a better place, even with everything that's going on, a better place than today. Today is the only day that is given to us. Nobody, has tomorrow. But if we are fortunate enough to live longer, like, this is the place to fulfill your dreams and build something that it could be your legacy and could take care of your family and could impact a lot of people in your community. So with that, take care. Have a great weekend. If you are not a CPA and you don't have to work on taxes, then, you enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you have good weather, better than here where it's like kind of snowing still. And see you next Friday. Bye-bye.